Man, that World Cup last year was so much fun. I'm so in the mood to play some soccer now. It's called football. Get it right. But we have our own sport here called football, so we're gonna have to call it something different. Why don't you just call it like hand egg, since that's the shape of the ball, and then you use your hands for it. That way you can call the game that you actually use your feet for and a ball, football. Huh, that makes sense. I think I'm gonna try that. You guys all ready for the Packers hand egg game today? Did you just have a stroke? What the fuck just came out of your mouth? Mario sports games have always been one of the best spin-off series of games to come out of the Mario franchise. They provide such a fun and competitive experience that most franchises can never reach. Not too many other games you can burn someone alive with a baseball. These games can be traced back all the way to the NES with Open Tournament Golf. It wasn't under the Mario moniker like the following titles, but it still featured Mario and his pals golfing. And it was golf, alright. The game didn't have any Mario flair to it. It was just a golf game that happened to feature Mario. So not too much to write home about. The first real Mario sports game was Mario's Tennis on the Virtual Boy, and it was tennis, alright. How do you put Mario in two different sports games and they're both boring as shit? Finally, Nintendo managed to capture the hearts of everyone on the Nintendo 64 with Mario Golf and Mario Tennis. These games finally felt like Mario games with items, courses, and courts that fit, and so many characters to choose from. This is truly where Mario sports games began, and I could not tell you the number of hours I put into playing Mario Tennis with my brother and my dad as a kid. If you ever let me pick Boo when playing against me, your ass is mine. The two games even had comparison titles on the Game Boy Color which had the same names, but weren't exactly the same games. They were RPGs. Yes, you heard that right. They had real story modes with upgrades, and you played as a human, which I had an appropriate reaction to as a kid. Who the f put this dweeb in my Mario game? Mario Tennis and Golf are still receiving new entries to the series to this day on the Switch, so it's clear the success wasn't short-lived. After the N64, there were a couple other sports titles that jumped out of the scene following their success. Of course, there were new tennis and golf games, but we got two brand new sports too. The first was baseball, which got entries on the GameCube and the Wii. And let's be honest, Super Sluggers is so much better than Superstar Baseball and the overall best Mario sports game in my opinion. Swinging the Wii Remote made the game one of the most fun ever, and its story mode just puts it over the top. However, for some reason, the baseball games haven't seen a new title since Super Sluggers nearly 15 years ago. Many people have completely lost hope that we'll ever see a new Mario baseball game, but I haven't lost hope. Super Sluggers was the last game King K. Rool was in, and they brought him back for Smash Ultimate. Coincidence? I think probably. There's also another reason you shouldn't lose hope. You see, there was a second sports title that came out on the GameCube and also the Wii, with the Wii game being one of the most popular and favorite Mario sports games of all time. Yet, it seemed to be forgotten about by Nintendo, until that fateful day in 2022 when we were blessed with the announcement of a new game for the Switch. That series, of course, would be Super Mario Strikers. These are some of my favorite of all the Mario sports titles, and I was so excited to see us getting a new game in the series. Until I actually played it, but we'll get to that later. Let's take a look at the game that started the franchise all the way back in 2005, Super Mario Strikers. Super Mario Strikers was developed by Next Level Games, and they sure as hell took this game to the next level. Mario Strikers is a soccer game, but it's not just any soccer game like FIFA. Oh no, this game doesn't try to scar you for life by scamming you out of your money, but instead it makes you scar your friends for life by beating the shit out of them. The other Mario sports games aren't just the basic sports with no additions. They add some items and different mechanics to make the games unique. Mario Strikers, on the other hand, added so much craziness that it almost feels wrong to still call this game soccer. Also, I do apologize for calling it soccer, but I am an American, so I'm going to continue to call that throughout the video, even though I agree football is probably a better name. Shout out to America for being different for no reason. The gameplay of Mario Strikers at first glance seems like normal soccer. You can pass the ball with A, shoot the ball with B, use the left trigger to make lob passes and lob shots, and slide tackle with B when you don't have the ball. When you pass the ball, if it's at the correct time around other defenders or in the open, the pass will be a perfect pass and turn green. If you go to take a shot from that pass, the game will slow down to help you aim your shot better, and these are some of the best shots to take in the game. They're hard for the keeper to stop, and they even got some super good power behind them. You can also charge your shot by holding B, which makes them much harder to save. Just make sure you're on your attacking half of the field, otherwise you're just going to end up clearing the ball out and look like an idiot. You can also dodge incoming defenders when you have the ball to make them miss, which gives me too much satisfaction. That's about where the normalness of the game ends, because there is one more way to defend besides slide tackling that I haven't mentioned yet. You can just slam your body into anyone on the other team with no repercussions. Now I can fully get behind calling this football. You can hit the living shit out of your opponent and electrocute them. The entire arenas are surrounded by electric barriers that shock anybody who gets hit into it. Like, Jesus Christ, this is brutal. I'm shocked they didn't make this game rated T for showing Mario characters' skeletons. I'm sure some parent out there thought this was too violent or dangerous for their kid to play. Can I get this game, Dad? No, that's a bad influence on you. Pick something worthwhile.
How about this?
Yeah, sure, I don't care. The violence you see in this game is completely out of left field and something you would never expect from a soccer game, but that's what makes it great. And it's not just hitting people that creates violence. There are a slew of items that you can use to create even more havoc. You get these items by getting hit by your opponent, so that is one downside of attacking your opponent over and over again. They're gonna bring that fire right back at you 10 times stronger, which just leads to you getting more items, which leads to them getting more, and creates just an endless cycle of bullshit craziness. But oh ho ho ho, that's not where the bullshit craziness ends. You know how when you score a goal in normal soccer, you get 1 point because, you know, that's how math works? Well, each captain in the game has the ability to shoot what is called a super strike. These are performed by fully charging up your shot, and the captain flips the ball into the sky with a meter to try to time correctly to score the strike. You can score without perfectly timing in the 2 green areas, but if you time the first green area correctly, it makes the second one much bigger, and if you hit that one too, the world goes dark with stars and everything goes in slow motion before slamming the ball straight to the goalkeeper and flinging them into the net with the ball. This game is just trying to find new ways to injure people in soccer. And if you score one of these super strikes, you get 2 points instead of 1. What the f is this? I would say the reason is because they're scoring both the ball and the keeper into the back of the net, but that only happens on perfect super strikes, so I have no f***ing idea. Either way though, it's one of the coolest and most badass looking things I've ever seen in a sports game, and I've seen a baby monkey hit a baseball with a banana. The game only has a couple of different modes to play, with grudge matches, tournaments, and then training areas called Strikers 101. Grudge match is just your standard free play where you can pick to play against competitors or friends, but tournaments are where it's really at. There are normal cups and super cups, which are more difficult and only unlocked after beating all the standard cups. The tournaments are round robin, meaning you play each other team in the tournament to see who has the most points from wins, draws, and losses at the end. And then the Bowser and Super Bowser cups have a knockout stage at the end where the top teams from the round robin stage compete in a single elimination tournament. I love this style of tournament as it's much more accurate to how soccer tournaments are in real life. They very rarely are just a straight elimination tournaments for soccer without a group stage beforehand, unless you're the MLS, because America just has to be different. And when you beat the Bowser Cup, you get the chance to play against what's known as the Super Team. This team is the most horseshit team in any sports game ever. Every single one of them can do a super strike, not just their captain, because they're all the same weird robot thing. And maybe it's just me, but I swear the AI for this team is on steroids every time I play them. Even in the Super Cups, when they can just appear as a normal team to face, they always end up being the hardest team I have to face. Even if I turn off super strikes and items, they still manage to be hard as shit to beat. Whoever programmed and designed these guys, all I have to say is, good job. Oh yeah, and as I just briefly mentioned, you can turn off the super strikes and items to make the game feel more like actual soccer. But you can't turn off hitting other players. Can't get too close to reality here. Overall, this is maybe the most fun sports game I've ever played. The craziness of every match is on a whole nother level from the other sports games. And the gameplay is so easy to pick up and play with small little complexities to make there actually be skill involved. The varying captains and sidekicks add so much to the game to pick your favorites, especially each character having their own unique celebrations after goals. Hammer Bro is always my go-to since he slides on his shell like a damn Olympic bobsled racer. This is a game everyone needs to check out, unless you have a Wii, because then you can just play a better game instead. Super Mario Strikers is the best Mario sports game on the GameCube, no doubt, but when you're going up against Super Sluggers on the Wii, Mario Strikers needed to pull out the big guns, and they sure as heck did. They gave us Super Mario Strikers Charged. Super Mario Strikers Charged is essentially just the original game on steroids. I can't really describe it well with words, so it's better to just show you. When When you have happy characters getting electrocuted and fans cheering around them as it happens less than 20 seconds into your video game, you know you're in for some serious shit. This is genuinely one of my favorite intros to any video game ever. It sets the tone for the game and makes you so excited to play a soccer game unlike anything you've ever seen. It makes the intro to the original Mario Striker seem mundane and boring, which is not something I thought I'd say today. And not to mention, does the intro make the original seem simple, the gameplay makes the original seem boring too. If you thought the first game was out of this world hectic, then Striker's Charge is out of this universe hectic. Just like the first game, the basic soccer moves are the main gameplay mechanics. Passing, shooting, dribbling, and slide tackling are all still here. There is one big change though. As the name of the game implies, charging the ball is the big new mechanic here. The original game used a regular soccer ball as you would expect in a soccer game, while this game uses a metal ball, and I'm not sure how many of you have tried to kick metal before, but it's not a fun time. The ball moves slowly without being charged for both shots and passes, but the more passes you make or the more you charge up your shots, the more charged the ball gets, which causes it to move faster and faster. This helps incentivize actually passing and makes the game require more strategy than just dribbling around everybody. Although this game did make it a bit easier to just dribble around everyone, since every character has their own signature dodge animation. Instead of just jumping back or to the side like a normal person, characters dig underground, turn invisible, and even hit you with a fucking hammer to avoid you. Is it really considered dodging if you're the one doing the attacking? And dodges weren't the only signature abilities added to all the characters. Every sidekick now has its own special charge shot too. These aren't the same as the super strikes that captains had in the original, since these don't count as 2 goals. But they do give you a bullshit advantage that fits Mario Strikers perfectly. You have giant electric balls, throwing hammers at the goalkeeper, and even just shooting yourself on a rocket to blow up the keeper and yourself. Like I said earlier, they really are trying to find new ways to injure you while playing soccer, but now they're getting a little too close to actual death. Just like the sidekicks getting upgrades to their charge shots, the captains all did too. They still have a gauge for timing, but this is no longer a super strike, it's now a mega strike, because these two words aren't synonyms. All of these mega strikes are much more creative and downright menacing. Everyone looks like they're ready to fucking kill you, and honestly, I think Daisy might. The big difference between these and the super strikes are that these give you the chance to score more than 2 goals. Depending on the gauge, you can score up to 6 goals, and if you have perfect timing for those 6 goals, they come like in rockets and are nearly impossible to save. Which leads me to my next point. Letting you control Critter as your keeper to save the mega strikes is so cool. The game is on the Wii, so it makes you use the Wii remote to point at the screen to save the shots as they come in. It's actually very responsive and one of the best uses of motion controls in the game. Each captain got their own unique item, which are some of the most horse shit in the whole game, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Mario and Luigi just have mega mushrooms, but Peach takes a photo and freezes you inside of a picture, and then Waluigi shoots purple vines out of his ass while running at the speed of light. Why is Waluigi always the weirdest character in these games? Just like the first game, Striker's Charge has a free play mode, now referred to as Domination mode, but their tournament mode is similar yet very different at the same time. The Road to the Striker's Cup is the most fun and brutal tournament mode in any Mario sports title. You play through the 3 cups, with the Striker's Cup being the last in order to win all the trophies. The cups get harder as you progress through each of them, and all 3 are round robin with an elimination tournament afterwards. And to win each cup, you need to defeat the current champion, which are the 3 unlockable characters in the game: Bowser Jr., Diddy Kong, who scares me to death with that banana, and then Petey. Who the fuck is Petey? Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like this is the only game ever where Petey Piranha is referred to as just Petey. I was so confused as a kid when I saw it say Petey at the bottom of the screen, and then even more surprised when I realized Petey Piranha is the final boss of this game technically. These cups can be insanely difficult and unforgiving, since if you lose in the cup, you can't retry from where you lost. You need to restart from the very beginning, which makes sense, but drove me insane as a kid because I kept losing to Petey over and over. The Road to the Striker's Cup is probably the second best story mode in any sports game I've ever played, and offers a real challenge even when you're good at the game. But as much as I love the different tournaments, that's not the best part of this game. This game has what's called Striker Challenges, which is essentially a mission mode. If you know anything about me, you know I love mission modes in games, which is why I love them in Sonic Riders and why Mario Kart DS is the game I sunk the most hours into as a kid. These missions range from simple challenges to rigging the entire fucking game against you by giving your opponent a 5-goal lead. The Road to the Striker's Cup can pose a challenge, but these are the real most difficult part of the game and also the most fun. The only thing that would have been cooler is to be able to do these missions online, since this game had online support. It was on the Wii, which means the gameplay looked like this. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that was the Switch. It looks the same. Strikers Charge was better in every way from the first game. The gameplay, characters, music, different modes, and everything was improved upon. But after how amazing this game was, Nintendo didn't give us a new title in the series for many years afterwards. We got new golf games on the 3DS and tennis games on the home consoles. Baseball and soccer were mysteriously in the dark for over a decade. Finally, with the Switch though, Mario Golf made a comeback in 2021, which made everyone get hopeful for a return of strikers and baseball. And then in early 2022, it happened. A brand new trailer was revealed in a Nintendo Direct with a release date later in the year. Everyone was so excited. It had been 15 years since the last game, and I'm sure it will be worth the wait. Gosh, I wish I could say it was. But sometimes you just gotta take what you can get, and what we got was Super Mario Strikers Battle League. Mario Strikers Battle League is the third entry in the Mario Strikers trilogy, and just like the other trilogy games I made a video on before where the first two games are amazing, this was a big letdown. Just like the previous games, the core gameplay is the same. You beat the crap out of your opponents with attacks and items galore. Seems like they couldn't screw this up. It seems that way. First off, they renamed Super Strikes again, this time to Hyper Strikes. It reverts back towards the original game where it allows you to only score 2 points instead of the potential 6 in Strikers Charged. Why did you go away from the most bullshit mechanic in a game that prides itself on its bullshit? It's fine though. The animations and artwork they did for each character is amazing and one of the best parts of the game. It reminds me of the artwork from the first game, which showed off the rugged and brutal feel of the game. Their biggest mistake, however, was removing all of the sidekicks from the previous games. Instead, you can only choose from the captains in the game, which there are only 10 of. 16 if you count the free DLC, but that's such a small roster of characters in a spin-off Mario game. Super Mario Sluggers had 72, and now we can barely do a fifth of that? Hell, the fact that Super Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo had only 2 fewer characters than this game did at launch is depressing. Being able to choose your sidekicks made the team feel more like it was yours. This feels like every match has the same couple of characters every single time. It gets boring since nothing ever changes. Plus, this means every character in the game can perform a Hyper Strike. How is that balanced at all? The point of the Super Strikes being only for the captain made them feel more special when you did one, since it was harder for that one character to get open. Now, if everyone can do it, it takes away from the whole point of it being super. As Syndrome from The Incredibles once said, if everyone's super, no one is. There's a reason no one likes the super team in the first Mario Strikers game because of this exact same thing. If you're gonna make it so there's no more sidekicks and everyone is a captain, then at least make the roster much bigger so there's more variety to choose from. Even like 20-ish at launch would have been fine, and then add like 5 to 10 more through free DLC. That would have satisfied everyone, but nope, we got screwed over and we have to deal with it. But that's not even this game's biggest offense. They got rid of mission mode. Son of a bitch! Why does Nintendo and every other company consistently make games amazing with mission modes for one game in the series and then never bring them back? It can't be that hard, especially in a game like this where there is no content. We have Quick Match, which is the basic match just like the Grudge Match and Domination mode before it, and then we have Cup Battles. These are much more reminiscent of the original game than Strikers Charge, except they do have one cool gimmick. Every cup is based around the different stats in the game, with the teams you face all having higher stats for either shooting, passing, speed, strength, or technique. And then the final cup has characters that are great at everything. It's a cool way to show off all the different abilities in the game and how to play against them or with them. There's just one problem though. These cups are easy as dirt. There's not a single one of them that poses a real challenge like Road to the Strikers Cup did, and you can beat all of them in like 2 hours, maybe less. I'd even go as far as to say the original game's cups were miles better than this. It gives me no reason to want to play them again since I know it's not even going to be hard. The game has some cool modes like the Strikers Club, which allows you to create a club of 20 players who all compete together to improve their division with online play. This is a fun idea and something that makes a lot of sense for a game like this. The only thing I wish is that you could have done completely custom uniforms, but that may be asking a lot out of a game that's doing the bare minimum. There's also Striker Rankings, which is like the Strikers Club, except it's for individual rankings for online play. It's a nice little way to compete with everyone online and be the best. If only the online didn't look like this. Oh wait, sorry, that was Strikers Charged. Man, the internet speeds really haven't gotten better. For how much fun the first two games were, I don't know, something about Battle League just feels off. The gameplay doesn't feel as fast-paced or chaotic, and the characters just don't have the same liveliness that they did before. It's really a shame because the first two are two of my favorite Mario sports titles of all time, and I had really high expectations for this game, but I probably should have learned my lesson after Sonic Free Riders. Battle League isn't a bad game overall, but it just feels like they didn't put as much love or effort as they did with the previous titles, which doesn't make sense to me as this was still Next Level Games who developed it, just like Strikers and Strikers Charged, but I'll never know. They added those 6 characters in DLC and dipped, never to touch this game again. At least they didn't try to add the Koopa Links to increase the character roster while not actually adding anything new. I'm never gonna get over that with Mario Kart 8. Overall, these 3 games are 3 of the better Mario sports games out there, and they all give you differing experiences. If you want a fun game that you can use a comfortable controller with, play Mario Strikers. If you want the overall best experience, then play Strikers Charged. If you want an accessible game that you can play on the go with the best online support, play Battle League. There's something for everyone. Unless you want to play mission mode on Switch, then go f*** yourself.